So Julius Malema has just been found guilty of hate speech. But the real story is what comes next. From looming sanctions to an appeal that could reshape the political landscape, this fight is just getting started. Today we're unpacking that fallout, the insane multi-billion rand bid to turn Curro into a non-profit, and Denel's nightmare lawsuit over undelivered fighter jets. Plus, in the Wildcard, we shed light on one of the fastest growing sports sweeping South Africa. My friends, if you're enjoying the show, be sure to like and subscribe. And now, with all that out the way, let's get into it. You must never be scared to kill. Those were Julius Malema's words at a 2022 rally. And this week, a South African court has ruled him guilty of hate speech. You see, the Equality Court found that Malema's call for killing racist white men wasn't metaphorical politics, but rather an incitement to violence. Judge Mark Scher said that such remarks amount to vigilantism of the most extreme kind, with the potential to ignite large-scale racial conflict. So this speech was delivered a couple of years ago after EFF members clashed with residents outside Brockenfell High School in Cape Town during protests over that private matric dance. I'm not sure if you remember that. Anyways, hundreds of South Africans ended up complaining to the Human Rights Commission after Malema told supporters that no white man would beat him and that revolutions sometimes demand killing. So now the Human Rights Commission is pushing for sanctions, a public apology, R500,000 in damages, and possibly further penalties. The DA in AfriForum says that the ruling proves that no leader is above the law. The EFF, though, rejects it as a distortion of revolutionary language and is preparing to appeal. So what's the bigger implication here? Well, this ruling could redraw the boundaries of political speech in South Africa. But whether it strengthens democracy or fuels deeper division now depends on what happens next. So Jannie Mouton, the billionaire behind Capitec and PSG, has just dropped 7.2 billion rand on a bold move to reshape education in South Africa. You see, through his family foundation, Mouton has offered 13 rand a share to buy out Curro, the country's biggest private school operator, and turn it into a non-profit. That's a 60% premium to where the stock was trading and enough to send shares surging more than 50% on the day. But for investors, it's bittersweet. You know, Curro was once a high flyer, peaking above $50 back in 2015. But student growth has since slowed, debt piled up, and the stock just drifted. The offer now is generous compared to recent prices, but well below the past highs, meaning that the long-term holders may still walk away disappointed. Now, for South Africa, though, this could be seismic. You see, stripping the profit motive away means that every rand will be reinvested into bursaries, classrooms, and expanding schools into underserved communities. Mouton says that this is possibly the largest philanthropic donation that South Africa has ever seen. The question is, though, will shareholders bite? And are we watching the start of a new model for South African education? So Denel, which is South Africa's state-owned arms maker, once famous for building the Rooivalk helicopter and G6 cannon, is now being sued in the US for more than $125 million. So this case dates back to 2017, when Denel struck a $35 million deal to refurbish and deliver a dozen cheetah jets to Draken International, which is this Florida-based defense contractor. The jets were meant to join Draken's private fleet used for military training. Now, instead, believe it or not, deliveries stalled, extensions piled up, and even the 3 jets that did arrive allegedly failed to meet airworthy standards. So understandably, Draken wants much of its advance back, plus interest and extra damages. Now, for Denel, it's a nightmare. The company's order book has collapsed somehow from 8 billion rand to under 1.5 billion rand in a decade. Bailouts have kept it alive, and it hasn't published proper financials since 2020. The bottom line here is, if this lawsuit lands, South Africa's once proud arms champion could find itself with nothing left to fire. And before we cruise on to our final Bagel Bite of the week, here's a couple other headlines worth knowing. For starters, NERSA has admitted errors in Eskom's tariff calculations, granting the utility an extra 54 billion rand over 3 years. Now, that means bigger hikes ahead, 8.7% in 2026 and 8.8% in 2027, well above inflation. Former President Jacob Zuma's court fight against Cyril Ramaphosa is officially set for the 18th of September. In case you've missed it, he wants the president's appointment of our acting police minister overturned, along with the plans for a new security commission. And business group Sakliga has taken the National Health Insurance Act to court, which is its plan to pull all of our healthcare into one state fund. They say it's both unconstitutional and unaffordable, requiring a 30% tax hike. I'll likely cover this more in my next video. And on to our final bagel bite of the week. Let's hope you're paying attention in biology. Let's see what you got. The question is, what is the smallest bone in the human body? Is it A, the stapes, B, the incus, or C, the collarbone? Bonus points if you know where it's located. And on to our wildcard section. Padel isn't just some shiny new arrival anymore, it's a global juggernaut. Born in Mexico in 1969, it took off in Spain and is now amongst the fastest growing sports in the world. By the time it reached South Africa in 2020, the wave was already rolling. And since then, it's gone from a single court in the winelands to over 600 courts and over 100,000 players nationwide. Investors are piling in too. Building a single court can cost up to R500,000, and entire property groups are now adding padel courts as a selling point. So for the handful of you that still haven't played, it's like squash meets tennis with these glass walls and endless rallies. Now, what I find most interesting is how it's quietly challenging golf as the new business sport. Deals are now being done over 60-minute matches, not 9 holes. But now the question that many investors are asking is whether padel can push beyond estates and suburbs and expand into more schools and communities, because only then will South Africa know if this boom is a lasting industry or just another elite trend with an expiry date. And as for that bagel bite, the answer is the stapes, a bone so small that it could sit on the head of a matchstick. You see, while the collarbone stretches a couple centimeters, the stapes barely measures 3 millimeters. Yet, it's essential for carrying sound into the inner ear. Proof that sometimes the smallest parts do the heaviest lifting. And my friends, that's it for today's show, and that's it for the work week. I just want to take a moment to say on behalf of the team, thank you so much for your support. This show continues to grow at a rate of knots, and it's only because you guys continue to watch it and forward it on to your friends. So just from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you very much. I hope you guys all have a cracker Friday, a great weekend, and I'll catch you all same time on Sunday evening. Cheers.